Welcome to Latin at Home. Thank you so much for joining me. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe. And also, if you like this video, please like it and let me know in the comments other videos that you'd like to see. The focus of today's videos is going to be Roman numerals, but we're not just going to do Roman numerals. We're also going to take a look at the Latin numbers, the words for those numbers, and English words that we get from those Latin words. So let's get started with the number 1. The Latin word for 1 is unus. And we're going to use our fingers to help us remember what the Roman numerals are. So I'd like you to just hold up one finger. And hopefully that will help you remember that it's an eye. Kind of looks like an eye, right? So let's get some derivatives from 1, unus. So we have unicycle, meaning one wheel. We have unicorn. Corn comes from the Latin word horn, so one horn. Uniform is one form. This Latin word forma can also mean appearance, so one appearance. Unique is one of a kind. And unison, son comes from the Latin word for sound, so one sound, whether it's speaking or singing. So if you can think of any other English derivatives that we get from unus, please list those in the comments. Moving on to 2, 2 is duo. So we've got unus and then duo. So we've got 2 fingers, so 2 eyes for the Roman numeral. And let's just look at a couple of the words we get from duo. So duet is 2 people singing. There is also duel, D-U-E-L, which is 2 people fighting. And that is not to be confused with this duel. They're really pronounced the same way in English, but this is having 2 purposes. So for example, a ruler can be used for measuring things and also for drawing a straight line. So there's a dual purpose for the ruler. Moving on to 3. So the word is tres. And just hold up 3 fingers, and we've got 3 eyes for the Roman numeral. So here's tres, and I also put tria, which is the neuter form, and I wrote that because you can see the tri, that's really where we get our derivatives from. So tricycle is 3 wheels. Triplets is 3 babies at one time. A tripod is a stand with 3 feet on it. A triangle has 3 angles. And finally, Trinity is a Christian belief about God. Some of you might be familiar with that. And now moving on, I know I skipped 4. There's a reason for that. I'm going to look at 5 first because, well, first of all, the word for 5 is quinque. And I want you to take your hand, and then I want you to turn it a little bit. And you can kind of see that V shape with your thumb and forefinger. The reason I did this one first is because the Roman numeral 4 involves this number 5. So for 4, we have quatuor, and it's IV. So what happens here is that you're actually doing some math to get your Roman numeral. So when the smaller number, like the I, the 1, is before the larger number, the V, the 5, you're subtracting that. So IV is really V minus I, so 5 minus 1, and that's where we get 4. Now for our English derivatives, those 2 T's are going to become a D, so it's quad is really going to be our prefix. So quadruplets is 4 babies at the same time. A quadrilateral is any 4-sided figure. Quadriceps, often called quads, is a muscle group made up of 4 muscles. And a quadrant is when you have your x-axis and your y-axis, and it makes those 4 quadrants on the graph. In my head, I'm thinking of a couple other quad prefixes. So if you have any in your head, please put them in the comments below and we can learn some more derivatives. And here's a reminder about 5, that V. So quinque, so quintuplets is 5 babies at once. Quintus was a really common name in ancient Rome, and somebody in your lineage was at some point the 5th child. And then after that, you could just be named after your father, even if you weren't the 5th. But it was a really common one. And this guy's, his name's actually Quintus, but we know this gentleman as Horace. He's a poet. Maybe you know some of his works. Quintessence. This is a philosophical idea. Don't want to really get into the philosophy of it, but you know, there were the 4 elements, and then the quintessence was the 5th element, and that was kind of the divine, if you will. And then quintet is 5-person music group. Moving on to the number 6. The Latin word is actually 6, and we're going to do more math here. So this is going to be VI. So before we saw the I before the V, and that was subtracting. So now we've got the smaller number after the larger number, so we're going to add. So this is V plus I. So VI is 6. And we also get some English words from this, sextuplets. I know I keep doing this one, but it's kind of fun. So that is 6 babies at the same time. And then there's also a sextet, which is a 6-person music group. Next, we have the number 7, septem, and more math, so VII. So we've got the smaller numbers after. So this is V plus II. So 5 plus 2 gives us 7 for the Roman numerals. And septem, we have septuplets. I promise it's the last one. I won't do any more past 7. So 7 babies at the same time. There's also a septet, 7-person music group. And you're probably looking at this and recognizing September. It does actually come from 7, but you're like, wait a minute, that's the 9th month. How did that happen? And it's because the calendar changed. So when September was named, it made sense. So this was an early Roman calendar. And you're like, hey, well, where's January and February? And what are these months in the middle here? I don't know what these are. Obviously, this calendar underwent a lot of reforms. But at the time that these months were named, September was the 7th month. October was the 8th. November was the 9th. And December was the 10th. So when they were named, they made sense. Since the reforms of the calendar and some adding and subtracting and replacing, now it's 9, 10, 11, and 12, and those numbers don't make sense anymore with it. But that's when they were originally named. So moving on to 8. The word is octo, and that's VIII. So again, we're adding. So this is V plus III. So that's 5 plus 3 gives us 8. And the derivatives we get from octo are, of course, octopus and octagon. And again, October, when it was named, it was the 8th month, even though it is the 10th now. And now, again, I'm going to skip 9 because I got to move on to 10 for the sake of Roman numerals. So decem is 10. So I want you to hold your hands up like this. And I want you to kind of cross those thumbs together. And hopefully that'll help you remember the 10 for decem. You got 10 fingers up and you kind of move them over together and your thumbs are crossing to make an X. Hopefully that works. But going back to 9, because we skipped 9, we're going to be doing math again. 9 is noem, and it's IX. So this is, again, the smaller number before the larger one, so we're subtracting. So that's X minus I, 10 minus 1 gives us the 9. And our derivatives, novena, if you're familiar with this is 9 consecutive days of prayer. And then November, of course, when it was named, it was the 9th month. And here's just a reminder of 10, decem. We get the English word decagon from that, which is a 10-sided figure, and also decimal, which is 1/10. A decade is 10 years. And then finally, December was at one time the 10th month. So here's just a summary of the Arabic numbers, the Latin number, and the Roman numeral for 1 through 10. I'm going to quickly show you 11 through 20. So 11, the word is undecim, and it's X plus I. 12 is duodecim, XII. 13, tridecim, XIII. 14 is quattordecim, and this is XIV, so that's 10 plus the 4, and then 4 is, of course, 1 before 5. 15, quindecim, XV. 16, sedecim, XVI, and 17, septendecim, and that's XVII. So those words kind of make sense. You can see instead of decem, it's decim. We do the same thing with the word teen instead of 10 in English. But 18 and 19 don't follow that pattern. So we're going to start by looking at the number 20. So 20 is viginti. You probably notice I'm using classical Latin pronunciation, not ecclesiastical. You might also hear this word as viginti, but I'm going to say viginti. So 18 is duo de viginti. So that is 2 from 20. The Roman numeral does not do that though. That's still adding. So that's x, v, I. So that's 10 plus 5 plus 3. But the word is 2 from 20. And then 19 similarly is 1 from 20. Un de viginti. So this Roman numeral is 10 plus 9. And 9 is 1 before 10. And then viginti is just 2 tens added together is 20. And then 30, triginta, 3 x's. 40 is quadraginta, and that is XL, and that's because 50, quinquaginta, is L. So 40 is 10 before 50. And 60 is sexaginta, and that is L plus X, so 50 plus 10 gives us 60. The other Roman numerals that you need to know are 100, the word for that is centum, and the Roman numeral is a C, which makes sense. 500 is quingenti, and the Roman numeral for that is a D. I have no idea why. I have tried to research it. I have not found any convincing explanation. If you know why, please let me know in the comments. I would love to know why. I do not have an explanation for why 500 is D. And then finally 1000, mille, and that is M, which makes sense. So those are the only Roman numerals that you need to have. So let's practice some. We're going to do a couple examples together, and then we'll do some practice. So I just have this, the 1 through 10 at the top, and then the LCDM 50, 100, 500, 1000. So for 65, so in order to get 60, we need L plus X gives us 60, and then the V. So LXV is 65. 94. So now we are 10 before 100. So we're subtracting that, and that's how we get 90. Plus IV is 4, so that's 94. 521, so the 500 is D, and then plus 21, so there's 20 and 1. DXXI, 521. And let's do a big one. So 2,748. So to get 2,000, we need 2 M's. 700 is going to be DCC. So that's 500 plus 100 plus 100. And now 48. So 40 is XL. And then 8 is VIII. So put all that together. And there's 2,748. Good job. And now let's practice some the other way, where they're in the Roman numeral and we got to figure out what they are. So XLV, so XL, that's 10 before 50 gives us 40, and then V is 5, so that equals 45. Here's a longer one, so let's break this one down. So we've got DCCC, which gives us 800, and then XXX is 30, and then 3, so 833. So CD gives us 100 before 500. There's 400 for us. And then XC is 10 before 100, which gives us 90. And then IX is 9. So this is all out of subtracting. So this is 499. And our last one is MCCL. So M is 1,000. CC is 200. And L is 50. So this is 1,250. Great job with those. So now let's practice these. These are the Arabic numbers. I'd like you to pause the video right now and try to put these into Roman numerals, and I will put the answers up when you come back. Here we go. Great job. These are the answers to those. Take a moment. You can pause the video again and check. And finally, we have these Roman numerals. I want you to pause the video again here and try to figure out what these are in Arabic numbers. Well done. Check yourself against these answers. So I want to thank you so much for joining me at Latin at Home. I hope you have a really good sense now about Roman numerals, identifying them, converting them. I would also really appreciate it if you put some English derivatives that we get from some of those Latin numbers in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. I hope to see you in future videos. But for now, Gratis tibiago et vale.